Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, and this time we're reviewing on Heavenly Sword film review. Now, as you know, Heavenly Sword was a 2007 game released only for the PS3 by Ninja Fury, by the same team that did behind DMC Devil May Cry, and also known for their other games. Now, eventually in 2014, Heavenly Sword eventually got its own movie. Now, what's interesting is that when I watched Crew Dude's review on Heavenly Sword, I wanted to see the film for myself and share my thoughts. Looking at it now, I feel the film is alright, but it's not as great. Now, I know that some of the voice cast do return, most notably being Anna Torv returning to voice Noriko. Now, I do feel that there are moments where it does sound like she's having a bit of a cold, or sounds like she's not what she should be. And what's interesting is that mainly in this film that Andy Serkis, who mainly voiced Supreme Leader Smoke in Star Wars, doesn't return to voice King Bohan. Instead, it's Alfred Molina. Now, I think Alfred Molina has done a lot of great stuff, like Spider-Man 2, Wonder Woman, but I feel it's just the same voice, and I feel like when you watch any film he's in, all his characters just seem to get killed off. Now, the premise is much different from the game, with some slight alterations. What's interesting is that the premise of the film is about Noriko, who is basically mocked and ridiculed by her clan, and even by her own father, Master Shin, who is a big difference away from the game counterpart. In this one, he's shown to be resentful and very much berate Noriko in that. So instead, Prophet Takashi kind of serves as more of the mental character, and they don't really do it as much. So what's interesting is that Noriko does have this kind of rival known as Coyle, voiced by Nolan North, and I feel Coyle is just meant to serve as the character that's just there. And I feel like they could have made him a potential love interest to Noriko and kind of serve as, like, seeing and being amazed by Noriko's skills with a sword. So, pretty much when King Bohan attacks, Noriko, as well as Kai, go on a quest to find Master Shin's other child, known as Loki, voiced by Thomas Jane. Now, I feel Thomas Jane tries to be Loki, but I feel his character tries to come off too much like the cool badass, and I feel like when you look at Devil May Cry, as well as basically like any sort of show with the cool main protagonist, they don't need a more cool sort of stereotypical voice because they're meant to be laid back and everything else. Now, what's interesting is that in this continuity, Kai and Noriko are sisters, and I feel like, yeah, they do at least try and give Noriko more of a big sister relationship, and kind of being there to be amazed by Kai's skills. Now, I do admit the original voice actors for Whiptail and Roach and all that don't return. So instead, you had Renee Gerlin voicing Whiptail and try to sound like this cool, sexy badass, and Roach just sounds mainly like not like his game counterpart should be. And I do feel, yeah, there are moments where the film jumps from animation and not really taking time with anything. And what's actually interesting as well is Agif Bell, known for voicing Rainbow Dash in My Little Pony, as well as voicing Princess Allura in the 2011 Voltron cartoon, voices Kai. I have to say he does sound close to the original, but not too much. But I do think, yeah, with moments, I do kind of feel you could have had more time with Kai to have flashbacks of her childhood. And I feel that, yeah, the scenery, the animation, and even the background just looks dull and bland. There's nothing really good about it. And Bohan's kingdom just looks like a stereotypical bad guy fortress. Now, what's interesting is that during some flashback moments, they actually do borrow scenery and stock footage from the animated scenes of the Heavenly Sword shorts. I get that they were trying to use these as stock footage and trying to make it like sort of their own. Now, I actually do feel like at one scene where Noriko basically defeats King Bohan, I do feel as soon as she leaves, they do jump an animation, and I feel like, yeah, they do sort of leave room for a sequel for Kai, even though she'd be the worst candidate imaginable. So, I think somewhere, if they kept more closely to the game and focused that, instead of going with a different continuity and fiddle around with characters, then it could have been saved. So I think the film deserves a thumbs in the middle. Kind of alright, but not great. As I think Heavenly Sword took itself, but fell down as soon as the battle went. Not one of the best, and not one of the greatest. So, Comic Reviewy here, signing out.